Presiding over Monday's cabinet meeting following his latest diplomatic agenda in New York, President
South Korea's economy will grow.
The central bank has kept its key interest rate unchanged. Mission complete for Russian duty self-fish. Seoul is rallying in hopes of bringing the World Expo 2030. Arirang.
It's February 20th here in Seoul, and I'm Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with the criminal trial proceedings of President Yoon. The troubled leader appeared at the first preliminary hearing of his criminal trial on insurrection charges this morning. The 10th hearing of his impeachment trial, which is supposedly the very last session, is scheduled for later this afternoon. U.S. President Donald Trump called Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky a dictator after Zelensky accused Trump of repeating Russian disinformation. Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed his satisfaction with the outcome of U.S. and Russian officials' peace talks in Saudi Arabia, while adding that no one is excluding Ukraine from peacemaking. In the face of mounting pressure stemming from Trump's reckless tariff policies, the South Korean government and local firms put their heads together to overcome growing trade uncertainties. According to the trade minister, communication channels with the U.S. are in full operation. President Yoon's political fate continues to hang in balance, with his criminal trial on insurrection charges now kicking off as we come on air. For more, we go over to our Eunji standing by at the Seoul Central District Court. Eunji, this is the first pre-trial conference of his criminal trial, isn't it?
That's right, Tommy. Security is heightened here at the Seoul Central District Court as the president arrived here just about an hour ago to attend his preliminary hearing of his criminal trial that began just moments ago at 10 a.m. Police have beefed up security at the court gates, heightening security checks on visitors and banning unregistered vehicles from entering. Now, Yoon showed up at today's session, although he was not required to. A defendant does not have to be present at a preliminary hearing, a step that's held in the early stages of a criminal case to cover legal arguments and evidence. Today's hearing marks the start of a criminal trial that could lead to life in prison or even the death penalty for Yoon if convicted of insurrection. The president's team is expected to deny Yoon's insurrection charges by claiming what happened on the night of December 3rd was an act of governance. Yoon is the first sitting president to face a legal trial in South Korean history. He's also the first to face both a criminal trial and an impeachment trial at the same time.
Well, Eunji, that's not it. Another hearing is taking place at the same place over there today. That is to review Yoon's request to cancel his arrest. Tell us more.
That's right. A separate hearing to review the legality of Yoon's detention will take place here at the Seoul Central District Court. That was requested by Yoon's legal team earlier this month. They asked the Seoul Central District Court to cancel his arrest and release the president, arguing that prosecutors indicted Yoon a day after the detention period expired on January 25th, making it illegal. Now, if the court finds it unlawful, he will be released from custody. Yoon has been detained at the Seoul Detention Center in Uiwang, south of the capital, since he was arrested on January 15th. And eyes are now on whether the president will speak for himself at the court today and state his opinion. Tami?
Alrighty, thank you, Eunji, for the update. That was our Eunji live from the Seoul Central District Court. Now, despite Yoon's criminal trial proceedings beginning this morning, the Constitutional Court rejected a request by the president's lawyers to postpone today's impeachment hearing, which looks to be the last or next to last hearing in the trial. For more, we connect with our Oh Soo-young. Hello there, Soo-young.
Good morning, Tami.
So, Soo-young, while there are concerns, the overlapping schedule weakens Yoon's right to legal self-defense. The Constitutional Court has decided to push ahead anyway.
That's right, Tami. The 10th hearing of President Yoon's impeachment trial will begin at 3 p.m, an hour later than scheduled, with 3 witness examinations, beginning with Prime Minister Han Duck-soo. Now, Han has previously stated that President Yoon didn't hold a proper cabinet meeting before declaring martial law on December 3rd. Now, this has been a major ground for impeachment, as the Constitution requires a cabinet meeting and related procedures to approve and implement martial law. However, Han's lawyer on Wednesday appeared to clarify the Prime Minister's position to say that due to the urgent circumstances on December 3rd, the cabinet did not follow normal procedures, but whether it was legitimate or not is for the court to decide. Former intelligence official Hong Jang-won, who was summoned as a key witness for the Nat'l Assembly side, will return to the court today for further questioning by Yoon's legal team. Hong claims that there was a list of 14 to 16 figures President Yoon wanted to arrest under martial law. He believes that he was also ordered to aid the counterintelligence command in tracking down and detaining the individuals. Also, National Police Agency Chief Cho Ji-ho will be forced to attend after 2 absences due to illness. He's told prosecutors that Yoon ordered him to arrest lawmakers on the night of martial law and heard from the counterintelligence commander 15 names of politicians and judicial figures to detain. However, we'll need to wait and see what he has to say today, as we've seen previously that witnesses who testified quite unfavourably for President Yoon have ended up altering their words in court, leading to some quite conflicting statements.
So, Soo-young, for now, Thursdays is the last hearing date scheduled for the impeachment trial. What comes next?
That's right. But experts say that it's likely the court will arrange 1 or 2 additional hearings just to wrap up the arguments made so far and also hear President Yoon's final statement. A ruling will likely be made then in the first half of March, as in past impeachment trials, the verdict normally took around 2 weeks to reach. Now, President Yoon's lawyers have said that they might apply for more witnesses after a day of review, but it's unclear whether the court would approve, given how they've rejected most of the over 30 candidates that Yoon's legal team has applied for, and also emphasised a swift trial process. Now, as the court continues to push through with the proceedings and shoots down requests by Yoon's team, his lawyers have said that they might embark on a, quote, big decision, which they have hinted could involve their collective resignation as a show of protest.
I see tensions do remain high as the impeachment draws to an end. Soo-young, thank you for the coverage this morning. It is going to be another long day for President Yoon today. His impeachment trial may be nearing an end, but he is now in the face of another trial, this time a criminal trial on insurrection charges. We turn to Professor Baek Eun-seok for more. Thanks for joining us.
Very good morning. Happy to be with you.
So Yoon's criminal trial proceedings kicked off just minutes ago. Now, what should we expect from today's session?
As we saw in his impeachment trial, the court holds, before it gets to the main trial, preliminary hearings or preparatory sessions. So what's happening today is one of those pre-trial hearings or preparatory sessions. And the main business of the court for a pre-trial hearing that is taking place today involve essentially 3 things. the court, working with the lawyers from both sides, that's the prosecution and the President Yoon's side, to identify and clarify issues of dispute, to determine the scope of evidence, including the list of witnesses to be called in,
Right.
and the scheduling the main trial. So those are the three things that are the main business of a pretrial hearing today.
It's also notable how he made himself present at the hearing today, which shows how seriously he's taking this, another criminal trial. Now,
Sure.
another hearing over a request to cancel his arrest is also taking place at the same place today. He obviously, can't make it there since he's at the criminal hearing. How will that session go?
Well, actually, as I understand it, the session where the court decides whether his detention is legal or not will be taking place at the same place at the same time. In other words, the same criminal tribunal will be doing those two things at the same time. And obviously, the fact that President Yoon is present there indicates that much is at stake in his own understanding. Obviously, the charge is insurrection, being the ringleader of an insurrection, which is a very, very serious criminal act. So if convicted, as you know, the sentence is up to the death penalty. So it is a serious charge, and I think President Yoon wants to do all that he can. And the legal team that challenges the detention has made the same arguments on previous occasions as well, including, for instance, the CIO didn't have the authority to investigate, the court did not have jurisdiction, and detention exceeded the period. But these are the arguments that are not new, and I expect President's legal team will raise exactly the same kind of arguments, which, in my view, the court may not be very willing to accept. But that's taking place at the same time in the same court. So President Yoon's presence there indicates that, in his understanding, really much is at stake today.
Well, again, he has a packed schedule today. He will wrap up the day with the 10th and final hearing of his impeachment trial this afternoon. Now, will President Yoon, do you think, speak up and deliver final arguments himself?
Well, as things stand now, it's unclear whether he will be present at the impeachment trial later today. His lawyer announced yesterday that he will attend his criminal proceeding, but wasn't sure or not decided yet as of yesterday whether he will be present at the impeachment trial. He has been attending all his impeachment trial sessions to this point. This afternoon, it's unclear. Now, today's impeachment trial is primarily about hearing testimonies from three key witnesses. And that would, I guess, would take up most of the time. And so a president will not make his final statement, which will be set aside for another hearing. And so witness testimonies would take up most of today's impeachment trial. And then I think it's very likely that court will set a date for another hearing, unless there is an additional witness to be called in. As of today, no additional witness. But if that happens, then maybe there is going to be another hearing, 11th, and then the final hearing where both sides, both the National Assembly sides, as well as President Yoon's side, would make the closing arguments, followed by President's own final statement.
Right, just to be clear, he didn't attend all the hearings. If I'm correct, he did skip the first two, and then he also skipped the very last one, the 9th one this week, right?
Right.
So he did attend a total of 6 hearings so far of the impeachment trial.
Yes, the session that he did not attend was, I think, part of his legal team's decision that his presence would not actually help his legal team getting the kind of statements from the witnesses they were examining.
Right.
And so maybe the decision for President Yoon not to attend this afternoon session, but again, that's still undecided, may have something to do with the witnesses, especially Prime Minister Han's testimony this afternoon.
Right, because you mentioned this, before I let you go, Professor Baek, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo and President Yoon will face each other for the first time if Yoon does make himself present at the hearing later this afternoon. What kind of scenes do you expect to see there?
Well, obviously, it's going to be a very interesting time for both President and the Prime Minister Han to see each other in the court. Now, the issue really is that Prime Minister Han has been saying all along that he did not know that there was a cabinet meeting, which was a requirement for the declaration of martial law to be legal. And he has said that in his view, the cabinet meeting, which was not there in the first place, if there were, to quote, it was loaded with defects, both procedural and substantive. So that has been his position. And I think President Yoon's lawyers would like to press him to get a kind of statement from him that in effect would say there was a legitimate, a valid cabinet meeting. And so the requirement was met. But I don't think, given the statement and the stand that Prime Minister Han has maintained, I don't think the legal team will be able to get the kind of statement from him that they want. But it's going to be a very interesting session this afternoon.
Indeed, that will be a key point that we should keep our eyes on throughout the day. Professor Baek, thank you so much for your time and your insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one.
And at the National Assembly on Thursday afternoon, Acting President Choi Sang-mok and National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik, ruling People Power Party leader Kwon Young-se, and main opposition Democratic Party leader Lee Jae-myung will sit down for a four-way meeting to discuss state affairs. At this first meeting of the joint consultative body between the government and the National Assembly, they are expected to discuss the details of the supplementary budget for this year, as well as measures to support the domestic semiconductor industry and improve the national pension system. The meeting is being held to stabilize state affairs following the aftermath of the martial law back in December. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he was pleased with the results of the recent U.S. Russia talks in Saudi Arabia to discuss ending the war in Ukraine, while a rift between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is raising concerns of its potential impact on the negotiating talks. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
After Russian President Vladimir Putin was briefed on the outcome of the recent U.S. Russia talks in Saudi Arabia, the Russian leader expressed satisfaction, saying that he rates the talks highly.
I rate them highly. There are results. They were open to the negotiating process without prejudice and condemnation of what has been done in the past.
When asked about the exclusion of Ukraine from the recent talks in Saudi Arabia, Putin said Ukraine would not be excluded in future talks.
As for the negotiating process, President Trump told me during our phone call, I can confirm it, that of course the U.S. assumes that both Russia and Ukraine will take part in the negotiating process. Nobody is excluding Ukraine from this process, so there are no reasons for such a reaction to the Russia-U.S. meeting.
However, a war of words between the leaders of the U.S. and Ukraine is raising concerns of its potential impact on future negotiations. After the conclusion of the U.S. Russia talks, U.S. President Donald Trump told reporters at Mar-a-Lago that Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's public approval rating was down to 4%. Zelensky responded that Trump was living in a space of disinformation and expressed hopes that the U.S. leader and his team get a clearer understanding of what's really going on in Ukraine. Ukraine was not the only country left out of the recent negotiation talks. European countries were also absent, forcing their leaders to hold their own emergency meeting. The major talking point has been whether or not the European allies of Ukraine should send troops for further assistance. Germany, Italy, Spain, and Poland expressed reluctance. However, the UK said it is prepared to send its forces to Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will visit the U.S. next week, hopeful they too can take part in negotiations to end the Ukraine war. 이승재, Arirang News.
South Korea's efforts to survive through another round of Trump's tariff salvo continue. This morning, officials from Korea's Trade Ministry, along with representatives from major companies and think tanks, met to coordinate a response strategy. Our Kim Jong-sil has more.
In response to the latest trade measures announced by U.S. President Donald Trump, South Korea is upping its efforts to protect key industries. On Thursday, the Ministry of Trade held a high-level meeting with senior officials from 9 major companies, including Samsung, Hyundai, and LG, to discuss how to handle the looming tariffs targeting steel, aluminum, and key industries such as automobiles and semiconductors. Minister for Trade Chung In-kyo emphasized that the government is fully mobilizing its channels with the U.S. to help South Korean industries overcome the uncertainty they're facing. He added that the government will strengthen collaboration with private think tanks to refine its response strategies. At a separate meeting, the Trade Ministry held the second session of the Industry Policy Council in Seoul, chaired by Deputy Minister for Industrial Policy Lee Seung-yeol. The meeting brought together officials from 10 major sectors, including semiconductors, automobiles, steel, and biotech, to discuss the latest developments. Industry representatives called for bold tax incentives, including extended investment tax credits, expanded tax breaks for strategic tech facilities, and direct tax credit refunds to boost investment. Both the government and private sector are to work closely with counterparts in the EU and Japan who face a similar situation. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
South Korea's consumer sentiment has risen for the second consecutive month, reflecting growing optimism over future political stability. According to the Bank of Korea on Thursday, the consumer sentiment index for this month reached 95.2, marking a 4-point increase from the previous month. And this is the largest jump since June 2021. Officials said that expectations of political stability and rising stock prices led to an improved outlook on living conditions. However, the index has not yet returned to pre-martial law levels. BTS member J-Hope will headline a major music festival in Germany later this year. According to his agency Big Hit Music on Wednesday, J-Hope will perform at the Lollapalooza Berlin, which take place on July 12 and 13. This marks the second time he's taking part in a Lollapalooza event. He was the first K-pop singer to headline the music festival in Chicago back in 2022. J-Hope will also begin his first solo world tour starting in Seoul from February 28th to March 2nd. He will also visit 15 cities, including New York, Chicago, Mexico City, and Manila.
Good morning, I'm Choi Ji-hee, and this is The World Now. Beginning in the Middle East, Hamas is set to return the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages, including a mother and her 2 young sons, as part of the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. Hamas confirmed the identities of the 4 bodies on Wednesday ahead of returning them to Israel on Thursday. They include Shiri Bibas, age 32, and her 2 young boys, 4 and 9 months old, who for many Israelis have come to symbolize the plight of those taken as hostages. The family had been abducted during the October 2023 attacks on southern Israel and had since been held captive. In addition, the body of 83-year-old retired journalist Oded Lifshitz is also set to be returned. The developments are part of the initial phase of a ceasefire agreement, which includes the release of 6 living Israeli hostages on Saturday in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the nation was torn ahead of the return of the bodies. NATO has begun its largest military exercise of the year, Steadfast Start 2025 in Romania, aimed at enhancing the alliance's rapid deployment capabilities along its eastern border. NATO's largest combat exercise involves approximately 10,000 military personnel from 9 NATO member countries, including the United Kingdom and Spain. Exercises take place across Romania, Bulgaria, and Greece over 6 weeks, focusing on testing the readiness and interoperability of NATO's Allied Reaction Force. The ARF was established in July 2024 and is designed for deployment within 10 days, integrating conventional forces with cyber and space-based technologies. NATO's most powerful member, the U.S., is not involved, reflecting a shift toward Europe's self-reliance in defense. This comes amid uncertainties regarding the U.S. commitment to European security under President Donald Trump's administration. Over in the United States, Cameron County in Texas has approved an election to determine whether SpaceX's launch site and surrounding areas will be incorporated as the city of Starbase. The vote is scheduled for May 3rd, with early voting set to begin on April 22nd. It will include residents living near the Boca Chica launch facility. A petition initiated in December last year garnered over 70 signatures, primarily from SpaceX employees, meeting the state's requirements for incorporation. If the measure passes, Starbase would become the newest city in Cameron County since 1995. In the Philippines, the Addition Hills Village in Mandaluyong City has launched a program offering residents a bounty for captured mosquitoes. The initiative, introduced on Wednesday, aims to combat the rising cases of dengue fever in the densely populated capital region by offering 1 Philippine peso, which is less than 2 U.S. cents, for every 5 dead or alive mosquitoes or larvae turned in. The strategy was implemented following a significant increase in dengue cases in the country, with over 28,000 reported nationwide as of February 1st, marking a 40% rise compared to last year.
Hope you brought enough warm clothing if you're visiting Korea this week. Much of the country is having colder conditions than normal with winter advisories. Today seems to be a repeat of yesterday with that extra wind chill. Meanwhile, dry alerts have been expanded to more regions. The whole capital area is under a dry advisory now. So keep a humidifier running indoors if possible and drink plenty of water. Your body needs it to take better care of you. Checking on today's highs now, Seoul gets up to 2, Busan at 7 degrees. But be mindful that feels like temperatures will be 4 degrees lower than readings. Clear skies are expected with decent air quality nationwide, but snow will continue for Dokdo and Ulleungdo. Jeju and the West Coast will see a wintry mix this weekend. The rest of the country will be under bright skies, but icy cold weather continues through Sunday before things get much more bearable next week. In the meantime, keep those coats, scarves, and gloves handy.
That is all we have for this morning. Arirang News will be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.
저희가 매일매일 자동차를 타고 일상생활에서도 쉽게 사용을 하는데 그런 자동차에서 타이어는 계속해서 버려지고 있거든요. 전 세계적으로 10억 개 이상 버려지고 있는데 특히 소각 처리될 경우에는 대기오염 물질들이 여러 가지가 나오게 되고 매립됐을 때는 지하수나 토양오염 물질들이 많이 방출되게 됩니다. 저희는 그런 타이어들을 어떻게 잘 처리할지 좀 고민을 했었습니다. 타이어가 가지고 있는 접지력이나 내마모성이 좀 우수하다고 생각을 했고요. 저희는 타이어 하나로 신발을 3.5켤레 정도를 만들 수가 있어요. 그렇게 됐을 때 저희의 신발 한 켤레는 타이어에서 발생되는 탄소를 8.9kg 정도 저감할 수 있는 그런 효과가 있습니다. 이 일을 시작하기 전에는 타이어가 그렇게 많이 버려지는지도 몰랐고, 그리고 버려진 타이어들이 환경 파괴적으로 처분되는 것도 사실은 잘은 몰랐어요. 점점 더 적체가 되고 있거든요, 타이어들이. 시간이 지나면 지날수록 더 큰 문제가 될 것 같다는 생각에 지금 일을 하고 있습니다. 타이어마다 모양이나 패턴이 굉장히 많이 다양한데 내가 가지고 있는 신발이 다른 신발들과 모양이 다를 수 있다는 점, 그런 점도 제 재미 요소로 좀 다가가고 있습니다. 저희도 그런 계기를 보다 많은 분들께 하나 더 제공해 주고자 매일매일 신는 신발을 만들겠다고 한 것도 있어요. 조금 더 주변을 살펴보면은 나 스스로도 조금 더 환경 보호에 참여할 수 있는 일이나 물건들이 더 있지 않을까, 그렇게 찾아보시면 어떨까 싶습니다. 나는 다시 달릴 수 있게 만드는 그리너입니다.
We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Thursday, February 20th here in Seoul. I'm Song Jin, and welcome to News Generation. Joining us today is Cheska Daina.
Happy Thursday, everyone!
Happy Thursday! And Yoon Sang-yeol.
Good to see you, everyone.
Everyone. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. So we're going to begin with our keyword news for this Thursday. Our keyword is KAIST, the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Recent data from the university shows that for the 2025 academic year, the number of applicants in a single school year exceeded 10,000 for the first time. Over the past 3 years, the number of students applying for KAIST undergraduate program has surged by 61%, while international applications for the graduate program have skyrocketed by 64.5%. So what do you think is driving this increase in applicants, and do you think that this is a sign of growing interest in natural sciences and technology here in Korea?
Well, I think it's a good sign because so far Korean students were mostly obsessed with entering medical school.
Right.
And I'm glad that many of them are now turning their attention towards other fields such as AI, robotics, or natural science. And because if Korea is to excel in the future industry and to compete with other countries, I think it's really important to nurture more talents in AI and engineering. Meanwhile, I think the major reason why students' interest in medical school has faded away is because of the national strike by doctors that we've been seeing throughout last year.
Right.
Doctors are deemed to be a promising job. They make a lot of money and
it comes with great prestige.
And Asian parents want their children to become a doctor. However, as this fantasy starts to die out, it's a natural phenomenon that students are opting for another job that guarantees success, and I don't blame them. Everyone wants to get rewarded after hard years of study in high school.
And now maybe we could see balance in the number of students who are choosing into the field of natural sciences and technology and those who are choosing medical school. So maybe we can see things balance out, which could be a positive sign.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this, Cheska?
I would actually have to agree on that too. I mean, STEM really is a foundation for all developments and academic endeavors. So I think it's great that we have more students and more talent that are kind of being funneled into KAIST. But even the president of KAIST actually said in his welcome speech that, quote, if there's something that makes your heart race, something that excites you, you have to take on the challenge. And this was something really memorable for me. He even added that you can come back to school in 5, 10 or 20 years.
Right.
KAIST will always be open to support and embrace all the challenges and even failures that you would go out and experience. And I thought it was something very monumental because, like Sang-yeol mentioned, I think previously a lot of the students went into more safer routes in their career, and now I think we're opening more up to embrace these challenges and failures, and I think KAIST is one of those schools that are ready to embrace that. So I think it's great that we have more students in that field.
Right, and as they say, it's never too late to learn something. And that was
go back to school.
Right, go back to school. And that was our keyword news for this Thursday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. Thursday is when we dive into the Korean wave and the global appeal of Korean culture. Take a look at the screen to find out more. Ever had one of those days where you just want to sing your heart out after a long, exhausting day at work or school? Well, here in Korea, we have the perfect place for that. Noraebang, which literally means singing room in Korean. Have you ever been to a noraebang? Right, so today we are going to talk about noraebangs, a very exciting topic. So I want to start off by asking our panelists, are you a fan of noraebangs, and what's your go-to song when you have the chance to grab the mic?
Yoon, I can already tell that you're very excited.
I am indeed.
I actually haven't gone in a while because I actually only went with my family when I was in the States, but now my family is spread across the world, so I don't really get the chance to. But if I do go, my go-to song is what I would consider like classic, but one of those songs that everybody knows so that they can chime in,
sing along together.
Sing along, yeah, and dance along, so I'm not in the spotlight. So it's kind of a song that I can start, but everybody starts singing, so I can be like, yeah.
But that's very generous of you because you're trying to share the spotlight with
others. As much as I love noraebang, everybody's kind of watching and listening to you sing, so I think it definitely takes a little bit of courage.
Right, it kind of gives you pressure.
Yeah, to showcase your vocal talent. But my go-to would be Westlife.
Oh. My Love?
My Love, yes. And Uptown Girls, Backstreet Boys, or like Atomic Kitten, like something that makes you feel really good, fuzzy, but happy, that can make people kind of get up and like dance or like sway. Yeah, those are my go-to songs. Yeah.
Well, great choice of go-to songs at the noraebang. I also would like to ask you, Sang-yeol.
Well, I love actually going to Noraebang, but since I'm an introvert, I prefer 혼코노, which means going to Noraebang alone by myself to sing alone quietly in a private room. And my favorite go-to songs are quite outdated, actually.
Please share.
Although I'm a millennial, I love singing old pop songs like Take Me Home, Country Roads. I like Take Me Home, Country Roads, to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Take Me Home by John Denver. It's a really best of pop songs, I can say. And yeah, I also love Westlife songs as well. And I enjoy rock band genres as well, many songs that were released by Oasis. And my unique music taste is actually rooted from my grandparents. When I was living with them back in the States, I was in kindergarten and they used to have the CDs and LP players. Yes, and they all have those classic songs that were really popular back in the days.
Well, thank you so much for that amazing performance.
Yeah,
you just changed our studio into Noraebang.
That required a lot of courage.
Which I really admire.
Okay, thank you.
I was really hoping that you would showcase his vocal talent.
And you performed it for us and for our viewers, so thank you,
If you
Sang-yeong.
guys are happy, then I'm happy.
Yes, we are extremely happy.
We're honored.
Now, interestingly, the word Noraebang has been gaining global recognition, especially after it was officially added to the latest edition of the Oxford English Dictionary, which we talked about a few weeks ago. So why do you think Noraebang made it to the list?
Maybe because we have people like Sang-yeong who is ready to go out and sing their hearts out.
Right.
But I actually fact-checked because I was also very curious too. But it is actually listed in the Oxford Dictionary, and it's, quote, in South Korea, a private room which can be hired by a person or group to perform karaoke, an establishment featuring one or more of such rooms. And it even added that it's really a good place for die-hard enthusiasts who love music.
Couldn't agree with
Right?
more.
Very much so. So in order for a word to be registered in the Oxford English Dictionary, I mean, obviously the term has to be used frequently and repeatedly, and I would even say universally, so that people know about this. So I guess this really shows the mega influence of the K-pop's global popularity, as this is a quite clear evidence that there must be a growing number of Noraebangs that are, being established or available globally. So even when foreigners actually come here to South Korea, apparently, Noraebang is considered like a must-visit entertainment spot for a lot of these people. And hear this, they spend about an average of 3 hours.
3 hours? I mean, I've never spent 3 hours at a Noraebang before, so wow.
Considering that a song is only about 2 to 3 minutes long, how many songs is that? That's
then
about
60 to 90 songs max? Wow.
And even if you go with a group and you divide it by 3, that's 20 songs?
Wow,
Yeah.
that's like your own mini concert.
Yeah, of course.
At least. And here in South Korea, if you do come, for all the viewers, a lot of the Noraebang establishment nowadays are very fancy.
Right.
They have cool seatings, lights.
Food and beverages.
Yeah, they have like giant open windows, some cool spots in Hongdae. So I think it would be really attractive for a lot of tourists as well. And Eugene, you actually told me about this. In Noraebang, nowadays they have a lot of
International songs.
international.
Like Japanese,
soundtrack.
Chinese, and also songs from Southeast Asia. So a lot of
Philippines.
options for our viewers.
So I think that is something that our viewers can find really attractive if they also come. It's not just carrying K-pop songs, but they can also kind of squeeze in 1 or 2 songs from their own country too.
Right. So adding on what we're talking about, of course, singing spaces exist in other parts of the world as well. We know that there are karaoke's too. So I want to ask you, Sang-yeong, what makes Korean singing rooms or these new Noraebang so unique?
Yeah, first of all, there's something similar in the United States. If you go one of those bars, they have the karaoke machine, and you can actually sing there. But Korea's Noraebang is a bit more special because, as I mentioned in the beginning, you go into a concealed space and you can enjoy singing privately. Also, the Korean Noraebang machine has multiple functions. The singer can select the pitch or tempos, and you can also manipulate the vocal cords, which means I can also sing high-pitched female songs. like Tears by 소찬이. And there's special effects like revolve and echoes, which make your singing sounds like you sing as a professional musician. Right. And best of all, letting out all the stress as you sing alone is the best part about Noraebang.
I couldn't agree with you more. So for those who haven't experienced a Noraebang before, you should definitely experience it, but we're going to talk about what to expect. First, there are two main types of Noraebangs in Korea. So Cheska, could you please introduce them to us?
I would be very happy to, yeah. The first type is the traditional room one, and you pay per hour. And this is the most well-known one. You go into a room with a group of friends and sing your heart out and dance. The other one is in Korea what we call coin Noraebang. So basically you pay per hour, but it is usually a small cubicle, I would say, just big enough for max 2 to 3, or on average 2 to 3. I heard it's getting a little bit bigger. But since you pay per time, what people usually do, because Koreans are very efficient, they usually skip the intro and sing just the first verse and then the middle verse, and then immediately go to the next one before the song ends, so they can squeeze in as much as possible. And a lot of these traditional Noraebang usually give you about 15 to 20 minute extra time, I would say. And before COVID, I know a lot of my friends and colleagues would go and hang out. But obviously, since COVID, the coin Noraebang, the one where Sangyak goes alone, became much more popular because you can go in and sing your heart out. And it's a very private and personal experience. And actually, some of my friends, when they have a really stressful day at work, or like just things just not going with their relationship or things like that, they would go in and then just sing.
Yeah, that's the best way.
Like stress release and then just come out. And also they all have disposable microphone covers. So don't forget to use those when you hop into one of these Noraebangs.
Right, so once you choose the Noraebang of your choice and you step inside the room, it's time to pick your song and kind of get the party started.
The party started.
And to get the party started, there are steps to take.
Right, so please tell us the steps.
So if you enter the room, you can find the list of songs in the Noraebang books. And if you type in the numbers that belong to the song, then you can start singing. And for the recent release songs, those are on the posters on the wall. So you don't need to worry about unable to find the songs that you want to sing. And other than the two types of Noraebang that Cheska mentioned, there are also two other types of Noraebang based on payment system. So the first one is based on the number of the songs that you sing, and the second one is the payment based on the time that you use Noraebang, usually on an hourly basis.
Right.
And there's also tambourines and drums, and you can lighten the mood while tapping on the tambourine as your friend sing a song. And when the song starts to play, the lyrics comes out from the screen, and a random music video plays. It's also, it's so random. It's really random, and it's played on the screen as well. So after singing, there comes the scoreboard, and I've heard that these scores are actually not based on your singing skills, but based on the accuracy of the pitch and the beat. And there are K-pop idols like Kim Jae-jung, the former TVXQ member who dreamed of becoming a K-pop singer.
Wow,
as
really?
He used to sing in Noraebang.
That is
like a practice room.
That's very interesting. Wow, okay, so Noraebangs is ultimately, it comes down to which kind of song you'd like to sing. So we also asked our viewers which songs they'd love to sing if they had a chance to visit a Noraebang and why. And here's what 3 of them shared. Our first comment for this Thursday is by Into the N. There are a handful of songs, but personally my top picks are 17's Oh My with such cheerful vibes, and Try Again by Dear X Taeyeon, which is good for those who need calm, soothing music. The Power Ranger 200, I'll definitely sing IU's Strawberry Moon because it's got a good song vibe and is perfect for when the moon turns red. Park Daeon 85 says a good song for me to sing is I Am from IVE, good rhythm and lyrics, and it's very relaxing. So to hear more from someone with first-hand experience, we'll be joined by a young guest from India after a short break. Stay with us.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Bhavika Chaudhary, a Gen Z student from India currently studying in the U.S. Bhavika was an exchange student at the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. So, Bhavika, when was your first ever visit to a Noraebang, and could you please tell us what the experience was like?
Yes, my first ever visit to Noraebang was in Hongdae when I was out partying with a group of solo female travelers I had just met. It was an incredible experience. None of us knew each other at the start of the night, but by the end, we were singing our hearts out. It was amazing to see how music was just connecting people beyond their languages. We were all from different countries, different backgrounds, and yet, like, in those few hours, we were just a group of friends having the time of our lives.
I love how you describe it, that the music kind of brought everyone together from different culture and language. When do you usually go to Noraebang? And the ultimate question, what's your go-to song?
I think there really is no bad time to go to a Noraebang, but I usually go at the end of a night, at the end of a night out with friends or after dinner. I think it's the perfect way to wrap up an evening. My go-to song, I think, is Dynamite by BTS. It's such an energetic song that gets everyone singing along, whether they are a K-pop fan or not. I do like to throw in some American songs like Sweet Caroline here and there.
Okay, Bhavika, I also love Dynamite by BTS. Now, I want to ask about your country. So does India have something similar to a Noraebang?
No, not really. India does have karaoke bars, but they don't have the private karaoke booths like Noraebangs. Karaoke in India are more of like a public thing where you just sing in front of an audience at a bar or a restaurant. That's actually what felt so special to me about Noraebang. It just creates such an intimate and judgment-free environment where you can just scream your heart out. I honestly wish we had something like that.
Fingers crossed. And last but not least, Bhavika, you have plenty of experience at Noraebang. So any tips on how to make the most of the experience?
I would say mix it up. Throw in some K-pop. Even if you don't know much Korean, you'll recognize some words and it will make it funny. And get up, dance around, make it a whole performance. It isn't just about singing, it's about making memories.
Couldn't agree with you more. All right, Bhavika, thank you so much for sharing your experience today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, ending off our episode today, for those planning to visit a Noraebang in the near future, do you have any must-know tips, for example, some do's or some don'ts, and advice on how to make the experience even fun?
I think our interview guest gave us some great tips, but if it is a group experience, be a good audience. You know, we're there to enjoy it together. When you're not singing, you know, don't just look
at your phone or look at the songs.
Exactly, or practice your singing the quiet corner.
Is that from your experience?
So not true.
Okay.
I've seen people do that. Like they warm up their vocal cord when other person's is singing. And obviously, don't hold the microphone for too long. It's a shared experience, and definitely hydrate so you can keep your voice for the next day. I've had too many friends who would come in work the next day with a raspy voice saying they had a blast of night out at Noraebang. And also make sure to check the time, because I think in Korea Noraebang it shows you how much time you have left. So sometimes you kind of want to end with a bang. So just allocate your time wisely so you can pick out the right songs.
Well, here's a very good tip for you guys. If there is 1 minute left, and if you start a new song, then that you're kind of earning more time because you can enjoy until the end of that song. So that's kind of like the tip.
And sometimes the Noraebang owner gives you a bonus song.
Right. Which is the best part about the Noraebang experience, in my opinion.
The 15 to 20 minute extra time, depending on.
Because they make a big difference. It means you can sing like 5 to 6 songs.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah.
Right. And what about you, Sang? Are passionate Noraebang?
Yes.
So if you're really addicted to singing songs and love going to Noraebang, there's also a smartphone apps which you can download, and they all have those special features just like the actual Noraebang, and you can enjoy singing in your home. And there's also Bluetooth microphones that are being sold in electronic shops, so you can actually make a karaoke. However, be careful not to make too much noise because your neighbors will not like it.
Right, so you can build your home Noraebang, but as Sang-yeon mentioned, student, be mindful of others, but have the most fun out of that experience.
Yeah, it's just for fun.
Yeah, it's
actually.
just for fun. And if you have the chance, please visit Korean-style singing rooms or Noraebangs in the near future. And that's all for this Thursday's episode of News Generation, but we will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Special thanks to Cheska Dainho.
Pleasure's always mine. Thank you.
Thank you. And Im Sang-yeon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for starting off your Thursday with us, and hope to see you tomorrow as well. We are
News Generation.